Hello, welcome to week 2 of Yoga 1. This is standing week. We'll be doing the majority of the beginning standing poses or asana, as you will learn also in the philosophy for this week. There will be another separate video attached to this week that will go over some of the pranayamas or the breathing techniques that we will use. And I also have a second one included for the COVID, in case you would like a special one you could share with anyone that you know that's going through that right now. So I'm trying to think if there's anything in particular. We'll be using 2 blocks like we did last week. You might want to have your eye pillow handy. Maybe the strap, maybe not sure. So you might have that close by, at least for today. So let's begin. Let's see, I'm going to go back here to my mat. And we're going to just start off with just standing in mountain pose, which is, I'm going to go back a little bit more, called Samastitihi. It means even standing. We talked about this last week, where we want to imagine your foot is in the shape of a rectangle and you're pushing all 4 corners of that rectangle evenly down into the ground, lowering the toes, so standing even, shoulders on your back, palms open forward. And then just take a moment to scan from head to toe through your body, noticing what sensations are present. If you're gripping or holding, maybe you feel tingly, maybe there's pain or too much muscle engagement in a spot where there doesn't need to be any. So just scanning through the head, neck, shoulders, arms, chest and belly, hands, hips, thighs, knees, shins and calves, ankles and feet. And just looking for any signs of tension, stress, however that's held in your body. Notice if your shoulders are shrugged or if they're down and back. And notice your breath. Notice if it's easy, smooth, and calm, or if it's perhaps a little rough. See if you can take your breath in and out through your nose. And if that's not possible, try to at least breathe in through your nose, breathing in calm into the body. And if you're not already, step to the front of your mat. And we're going to do 2 sun salutes. I'm going to do my first one facing forward, then I'll turn the other way to show you one facing sideways. So just to let your arms be at your sides. And we're going to warm up the arms a little bit as we move into the sun salute by inhale, letting the arms float up a bit. Exhale, back down. So imagine drawing circles with your arms. Inhale and let them float up a little higher. Exhale, back down. And with each inhale, let them go up just a little bit higher, warming up the shoulders, spiraling the arms if you like. This might not be possible if you're in a room with other people and things are really tight. And with this next one, let's just let the arms pause over your head, interlace your fingers, turn your palms upward, stretch over to one side, and then the other side, a little bit of side body stretch. Then turn your whole self, twisting forward, or twisting, to the left and then to the right. We'll do forward in a minute. We're doing a quick 6 directions of the spine. Come back to the middle. We did back bending as we were moving these arms up and down. So now let's forward fold. So we side body stretched. Left and right. We twisted left and right. We did a little tiny back bending. We'll do more later. And now we're forward folding. You might notice, because this is your first forward fold, that you can't go quite as far because we're not very warmed up. So let's just unfold from here. And exhale, bring your hands down to the heart, and we're going to move right into those sun salutes. I'm going to shift in the middle of them, but you just continue with your second one. So starting with a great big inhale here. Exhale, let your hands drop. Inhale, reaching up, prayering up, whatever works. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale up to the halfway point. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step your right foot back, lower the right knee. And then inhale into crescent. And just give yourself a couple extra breaths here, the first crescent of the day. And then exhale the hands down to the ground. Step the left foot back into down dog. Walk the dog, wag the tail, whatever feels right now. And when that feels complete on your next inhale, reach the right leg up, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee and step it forward, lower the left knee. Inhale into crescent. Hold this for a little bit longer. If you have your blocks by your side, they might help you. And then exhale your hands down to the ground. Inhale, step the left foot forward, lengthen to the halfway point. And exhale, fold. Inhale, unfold. And exhale, hands to your heart. Next one, inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, lengthen to the halfway point. And then exhale, step your left foot back, lower your left knee. Inhale into crescent. Exhale the hands back down. Inhale, step the right foot back into down dog. And exhale. Inhale, lift the left leg up. Exhale, step that left foot forward. Lower the right knee. Inhale into crescent. Exhale the hands back down. Inhale, step that right foot forward, lengthen to the halfway point. And exhale, fold. Inhale, unfold. And exhale, hands to your heart. 2 sun salutes at least to warm up. If you feel like you want to do more, you're welcome to. You can make a sun salutes alone, your practice. There actually is one practice where you do 108 sun salutes, and that's your practice. So that's a bit of a cardio practice if you like that, or it can be very meditative or healing. About 12 years ago, somebody that I was training to become a yoga teacher with passed away. And one of the things that we did as a memorial to her was a group of us got together and did 108 sun salutes. So there's different ways in which you can use this practice to help you heal. So that was our sun salutes. Now we're going to move into just some static, still standing poses. So we'll start with triangle pose, and you'll need 1 block for these. I will let you know that block to the inside of the foot is easy. Block to the outside of the foot is considered a little bit harder. So just for your information. So what we're going to do is step 1 foot back. And then I just would like you to look down at your feet. If with this foot that's up here in the front, if you draw a line from the back of the heel all the way back to the other foot, the heels should either run into each other or this front heel should pass behind it and the lines wouldn't intersect. What you don't want is for that heel to run into the back toe, because it's like you're trying to do yoga on a tightrope or a balance beam. Give yourself some space. So make a nice right angle with your legs. And we're going to our knees are straight for this one. So what you're going to do is reach forward, let this back hip jut out a bit. And then after you reach as far forward as you can, tip over. Either find some of your thigh or your shin to hold on to, or you can hold on to a block. The other arm's going to go straight up to the ceiling. Then what you want to do is to turn and take your gaze up to the thumb of the upward hand. So the real easy thing to do is going to be kind of here, which is kind of tilted forward. What you really want is for your head to not be inside of this leg, but to be right over the foot, right over the leg. So kind of imagine yourself being flat. Imagine that I could take myself back right up against this wall and everything would be touching. My shoulders are touching, so my heel is touching. I guess I could take this one back even further and go further into it. Both shoulders on the wall, so it's very flat. That's one thing you can try. So let's go over to the other side and we'll try to hold this just as long. Sometimes it's helpful to hold the block in your hand. Take a look down at your feet, because sometimes when you flip-flop your feet to go the other way, the heels don't end up lined up the way that they should be. So check that out. Check out your alignment of the torso over the leg, and then feel as if you're just trying to open your heart towards the ceiling. And just let that arm go straight up. Check your breath. Are you breathing? Through your nose. And then feel as if you're ripping the mat in two. Pull your feet in opposite directions and use that energy of pulling your feet in opposite directions to come up. Then we're going to turn again. Check out the alignment of your feet one more time. And this time we're going to be doing side angle pose. So what I'm going to do is bend my knee. So I want my knee to be right over the ankle on the front. The back leg is straight. And the easiest way to do this is to take your elbow to the knee, palm facing up and kind of inward. So that's one option. The other is to use a block. Personally, if I was going to use a block, I almost don't need one here. I like just letting the elbow rest on the knee. It makes it somewhat restorative. And then what you're going to do is let the other arm come way over your head. So imagine making a nice line from the tip of your finger all the way down to the tip of your toe. And if you want, you can turn your gaze upward. If that feels too open, too vulnerable, then you can turn your gaze downward. That's a personal choice there. Breathe and feel the stretch along the side of your body. And then we're going to come up, turn the other way. Check out your heel alignment. And then we're going to bend this knee. Let the other arm come over your head. Gaze up or down. Your choice. One more thing is just that this is another spot where it's good to check and just take a little gaze and see if your head is over your leg and your foot. Breathing. And then from here we're going to unwind into Warrior Two. So this is actually a little bit easier. Same thing, my knee is right over the ankle. My arms, you want them to be shoulder height, but you're not holding the weight of the world up on your shoulders. You want your shoulders down, but the arms are up. Now you notice my hip is kind of out and it looks like my whole body's leaning forward. This is kind of like type A. I got to go get it done and I got to move on to the next thing. This is just my yoga class. I got to get it off my list of things to do today. Let that go. Take this back hip, tuck it under you. Let your torso be upright. Lower those shoulders, but keep the arms up, and especially check the back one. I have a tendency to have my back one go down. So over the semester, if these videos show my back arm down, I'm doing it wrong. So keep that one up. And then the last thing is to check to see if your knee is aligned right over your ankle. You don't want it hyper bent, not bent enough, or inside or outside of the ankle. This knee should be right over it. Shoulders down, torso up. Sometimes I like to use this pose to check in with my mood. If I'm, see, I was doing it again. I'm kind of like, get this done, get this off of my to-do list, get ready for the semester. So if I feel like I'm leaning too far forward, it means I'm a little bit too much in my type A brain, in that get it done brain, and I need to chill a little bit. So to transition to the other side, I got this nice little move. So we're going to straighten the knee and let the arms come up over your head. Then while you're here, turn your feet, check out your alignment of your feet, bend that knee, and as the knee bends, let the arms come back. Check your knee, check your shoulders and your arms. I love having this camera in front of me. Check your torso, which is easy to do when you're looking at yourself. You'll notice, well, for this semester, we're not going to have mirrors, but if we're in the room that has mirrors, I will turn you away from them because I don't particularly care for mirrors during a class. I prefer to just be in your body. Arms may be getting tired. If they're tired, you can turn the palms up and work the opposite muscle group. That is a fine thing to do to take care of yourself. So you'll notice that we're facing the long end of the mat. Let the arms just drop down. The next pose we're going to do faces the short end of the mat, here or up there end of the mat. So this is warrior one. So what you're going to do is just step up to the front of the mat here, and we're just going to step 1 foot back. I'm going to do this facing here because I think it's a little bit easier to see. So I'm just going to step a foot back and take my feet apart, but I'm still facing this way. I'm not facing the side. My feet are not at a 90-degree angle to each other. I'll move back here now. They're more or less 45 degrees to each other. The back heel is turned out. It's facing as much forward as I am comfortable with. But I want my hips also to be facing forward. If when you turn your hips to face forward, that back heel comes up a little bit, that's okay. You will hear other teachers, older videos where they're saying, try to get that back heel down to the ground. Well, they're finding that more people are having to have hip replacements from too much strain on the hips in this pose. So instead of really forcing it, let the energy go out that back heel. And then we're going to bend this front knee still. I want you to lean forward a little bit, and then from your waist up, peel your body off so that you're in a back bending. Then let your arms follow up, but make sure that your shoulders aren't up here, they're down. Palms are facing each other. You want your arms to feel engaged, but sort of like if you were holding one of those great big soap bubbles from the Wizard of Oz. You don't want it to pop, but you don't want it to float away. So try to find that middle road and hold that much tension in your arms. Feel the back bending. Be a little bit relaxed. And then we're just going to step up to the front and let the other leg go back. So the feet are wide apart here. They don't have to be in a line. You're never standing on a balance beam in yoga. This mat has width for a reason. If we did yoga on a balance beam, then the mats would only be about that wide. So use the whole width of the mat as you're going. Again, let the energy go out that back heel, have the hips facing forward. So the back heel can be up a little bit. Front knee is bent, stacked over the ankle. Lean forward with your spine to start to get that back bend. Then from the waist up, peel off so that you've got a back bending, nice little back bend. Shoulders down, arms up with a little bit of tension in them. And breathe through the nose. Always working to reduce that stress. And then step to the front of your mat. The next pose is tree pose. So this is a very traditional yoga pose. You see it done a lot. And most people want to just like hop into it and then they're hopping all over the place. Take your time. Focus on your roots. Your roots are the leg that's going to stay down. All four corners of the foot pushing down into the ground as if there were roots growing out of the bottom of your foot. And then once you've got that, you can start by keeping your toe on the ground and just lean your heel of the other foot up against your ankle. Just notice how that feels. And maybe let the toe come up, maybe let the leg or the foot creep up the leg. Not always a good idea to let your heel dig into your knee. And if you can, bring your hands to your heart. Sometimes it helps to find a focal point, just some spot that you're looking at, and let your gaze go there. Dhyana, which we'll learn about later. And then you can let your arms grow up, that single point of meditation. Open the arms, nice big branches on your tree. And maybe some kudzu gets in there, and then the tornadoes or the wind comes along. Just throw your balance off and see what that feels like. All right, let's move on to the other side. So again, focus on the roots first. Find that base of support, and then just very slowly let this other foot grow up the leg. It's perfectly fine to take your hand and hold the ankle if you like. I have slippy pants on, so it's kind of hard for it to stay up on my thigh. Let the arms grow. Find that point, single point to gaze at in front of you or on the floor. Arms grow. Nice big tree. And then kudzu and wind and tornadoes or whatever. Throw that balance off until you come down. So just a little bit of fun with tree pose for you. Pyramid pose. This is very similar to Warrior One. So we're going to just start by standing at the front of the mat. This is a hamstring stretch. Hamstrings are the backs of the thighs. And we're just going to step one foot back. Both feet are going to be sort of facing forward. The back one, like I said before, the back toes may be turned out just slightly. So the stretch is going to be with the front leg, not the back leg. So what I want you to do is, again, keep the hips parallel with the front of the mat, and then start to forward fold. But as you forward fold, really focus on this front hip moving back. As you move back, go into a forward folding just until the torso is parallel with the ground. So I want you to think of your buttocks as shining up on the ceiling. And in the 90s, when I used to take aerobics, the teacher there said, imagine you have a headlight on each one of your buttocks and you're trying to shine them on the ceiling. And as you do that, you should feel a nice stretch start to form on the back of this front thigh. That's your hamstring. That's the muscle that gets tight and keeps us from being able to go into a deep forward fold. So if you want, you can start to maybe move a little beyond parallel. And you don't have to. And find your breath. And then unfold, step to the front, other leg back. Use the width of the mat, feet facing forward, back, heel slightly in, toes slightly out, but the heel can come up if it needs to. Hips parallel with the front of the mat, then this whatever hips in front, you're going to push that one back, shine the buttocks up on the ceiling as you move into the forward folding, feeling the stretch on the back of the front thigh. And breathe. unfold. And we're going to step to the front of the mat. And what do I have next? Straddle forward folding. So this one is kind of free form. Take your legs wide. The wider apart your feet are, the easier this is to do. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, well, I'll say more. The further apart my feet are, the easier it is to get my hands to the floor. When they come closer, my hips are further from the floor, so therefore it's harder to reach the ground. So the more obtuse the triangle or the angle of your legs, the easier it is to reach the ground. So we're just going to forward fold. So just let your hips go back, forward fold. You can, if you cannot quite get the ground, if you've got very tight hamstrings, then feel free to use a block, however you like here, as you forward fold. If you've got loose hamstrings, let your head just hang. You can even take and hold on to the opposite forearm to take yourself deeper into that fold. And then just tune in to your mind. And what is your body craving as far as movement? Does it want to lunge to one side, hands to the ground or whatever? Lunge to the other side. Does it want to twist one hand to the ground, one hand to the sky? Got to balance it out. Does it want to hang over one leg or hang over the other leg? Do your hands want to go back interlaced over your back? Or is there something else that's calling to you insofar as movement is concerned? Maybe a little bit of goddess pose where both knees are bent. We can do that. I like bringing my feet a little bit closer as I do this. I can come up, whoops, off of my heels into goddess pose. So there's lots of different things you can do with that straddle forward folding. That's always going to be kind of like a free form spot where you can play with it, except when we do Ashtanga. It's a little bit more regimented for that. So take a little bit more time if you want to in your forward folding. And then we're going to, now we're going to go to the wall to do a little bit of work on the wall for your shoulders. And I have this nice wall right behind me to work with. I need to read my notes. Tree and clock hands. So the wall's a prop. You know, I asked you to buy blocks and eye pillows and blankets and straps, but you can't buy a wall. But the wall is your friend. The wall is the easiest prop in the world. If you need to, it's always there. So this tree pose we did, if you were struggling with it, go to the wall. Use the wall for that. If you weren't struggling with it at all, perhaps you want to move into some stuff that's more difficult and challenges your balance. Maybe see how I'm using the wall to help me find my balance before I go into a dancer or a warrior 3, you know, or anything that you might do. So just know that you have the wall here to use. I'm one of these people, I got to be balanced, so I'm going to try a little bit on this side now just to keep myself balanced, and you should too. You don't ever want to say, I don't understand why that muscle on that side of my body is hurting, and then come to realize you did most of your practice on just one side. So that's balance poses. Is really nice to use the wall. But what we're going to do now is turn into the wall. This is clock hands. And I'm going to take my right hand up to 12 o'clock. My left hand's not doing this right now, so I'll just let it be behind my back. And then I'm going to turn away from that arm that's at the wall. I'm going to turn to my left. It's the right arm, I'm turning to the left. So I'm opening that shoulder a bit. You may not feel anything. And then I'm going to move to 1 o'clock. And I'm going to do the same thing. Then turn back. Make sure you always turn back in between 2 o'clock. Turn away. You don't want to be turned away and then move the arm, because that could really injure it, because this might be further than you can go for 3 o'clock, and then you'll end up hurting yourself. So I'm going to come back, go to 3 o'clock, and I'm going to turn, and sure enough, I can't turn as far as I could for 2 o'clock. So it's good that I turn back into it. Coming back down to 4 o'clock, turning away, and back. 5 o'clock. Most people don't find that they feel this as much down in 4, 5, and 6 o'clock unless you've had some sort of injury that is specific to that movement of the shoulder. I find that most people, it's like 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there for the right arm. Now the left arm is going to go up to 12 o'clock, and we're going to turn away from that left arm to the right. Back facing the wall to 11 o'clock with this hand, turning away. A little something there. Back, 10 o'clock, turning away. That's the one. And then back in. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is tight. 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock. And lastly, 6 o'clock. So I know dorm rooms are tight and all, but see if you can find some place where you have a blank wall. Posters don't get in the way, but artwork and stuff does. So it's nice, even like just the length of a yoga mat, a 6-foot section of wall, you'll find very helpful. So that's our clock hands, our wall work. Now we're going to work on what I have nicknamed in here, Marlisa's pranayama. This is our new breath work for this week. Marlisa was one of my yoga professors, Marlisa Sullivan. You can Google her. She's pretty awesome in some of the things that she's done in her life. So I got this breath work from her, and it's somewhat physical therapy-ish. She's a physical therapist as well as a yoga therapist, but it's still very nice. So go ahead and lay down on your mat. You don't really need any props right now. And let your hands rest on your belly. Let your feet be on the floor, knees bent. And don't do anything in particular right now, just breathe. Let yourself have a moment to recover from this practice. And then as you feel everything kind of settling out, notice how you're breathing. Are you breathing more through your mouth or through your nose or through both? Do you feel any twitching or shaking in your body? Just kind of noticing the tension that we might hold in your body. Before we get into this too heavy, I want you to start to understand what I mean by feelings in your body. So I want you to just take your hands and your arms and shake them. Just shake them. And keep shaking them, keep shaking them. Shake them and shake them and shake them, shake them. Keep on going. Don't stop. Don't stop. Up and down, flap your hands, whatever works for you. Move your arms and your shoulders a little bit, and then all of a sudden stop. And notice what you feel in your arms. Notice what you feel in the rest of your body. You might feel heavy. You might feel tingly. That's an example of sensation, a tingly sensation. So when I ask you to notice what you're feeling in your body, those are the kind of things that I'd like you to notice. But also notice, as you're doing things like that, notice if a memory or an emotion comes up with that particular sensation at the same time. So we hold memories in our body. And we go into a lot more of that in yoga too, if you're interested. So just noticing how you're breathing. In and out through your nose, feeling, maybe with your hands on your belly, feeling the belly expanding with each breath in and contracting in with each breath out. And now we're going to make this a little bit harder. And this is an exercise. I'd like to point out Marlisa's pranayama is an exercise. It is not a way to breathe. So just be aware of that. So don't walk around Barry doing this. Just if you want to add this to your yoga practice, great, but this is not something that you should be doing outside of a yoga practice. So we're going to connect some line segments here, and we're going to start. A line segment has two endpoints, right? So our first line segment is going to be the line segment between your sitting bones. So when you're sitting up, there's little bones that are underneath of your buttocks. So imagine that each one of those, the right one and the left one, are endpoints of a line segment. And then try to move them closer to each other, however that works for you. But keep breathing through your nose. Don't stop. You might notice it's a little teeny bit harder to breathe. And then the next line segment is going to be the pubic bone on the front of your body to your tailbone on your back. So it's going to go straight through your body, shorten that. So you've got, while still holding those sitting bones, the sitting bones being held and the pubic bone and tailbone together held. And those two line segments being held while you breathe is what is traditionally called a Kegel. So hold all that and breathe. Notice it's getting a little harder. You might notice if you have your hands on your belly that it's not moving quite as much. I'm going to add a third line segment, which is the hip points. From the right hip, the little knotty thing that sticks out, to the one on the left. Shorten that line, bring that in, so it really feels like you're pulling your abs in as you do that, and breathe. And you're hitting up against that wall of abdominal muscles as you're doing that. You might feel that your back is out of adjustment, so the last thing you can do is to take the lowest edges of your ribs and press them down, kind of let them curve down and press into the ground while still holding your sitting bones, pubic bone, tailbone, and hip points, all being held. And then just breathe. And know that when somebody says, engage your core, this is what they mean. We just broke that down into its parts. So now while holding all that, continue to hold it, lift one leg up towards the ceiling. And we're going to let it drop down. Take 2 breaths for the leg to get all the way down to the ground with the foot flexed. So the heel should be the first thing that touches. And then point your toe and take 2 breaths for the leg to come all the way back up. One more like that. Check in, make sure that you're still holding the sitting bones, pubic bone, tailbone, and hip points, ribs, lowest edges of them, pushing down into the ground, point the toe, come back up. If this leg thing is too much, then just leave that out and just keep breathing. And we're going to move on to the other leg, flexing the foot, engaging all of those points again, lowering the leg for 2 breaths. Point the toe and raise it back up. Flex the foot, lower it again. Point the toe, raise it back up. Drop that foot back down to the ground. Let that go. Take a nice deep belly breath. 3 times. Let the belly release. Third one. And just let your whole body drop to the ground. You stay there for a sec. I need to check my list. And you can let your knees drop over to one side and then the other side. I'll show you that. Knees drop to one side and then over to the other side. And then coming back to the middle, find your position for corpse pose, Shavasana. Or I'm going to read you a meditation at the end. So if you want to get something for under your knees or a blanket. Sometimes we get cold when we get into Shavasana. So sometimes, especially as we get into cooler weather, you may get cold. So you can, if you want to put the block under your knees, maybe use the blanket if you want to. And then come on back. Lay down. Maybe you have something else for your head. Maybe you're going to take your eye pillow and place it over your eyes. So whatever feels good. If you've got a jacket or something you want to throw over your torso, that's fine. I'm going to sit up though to read to you all from meditation from the mat, meditations from the mat. I'm going to be reading number 108 today. If you recall, 108 was that number of sun salutes that I mentioned earlier. It's kind of a significant number. If you want to know more about that, then even get a copy of the book Eat, Pray, Love and read the opening introduction part or some part right before all the little journal entries start. So nice, take a nice deep breath in and exhale, sigh. So let go of your nose breathing now and just let yourself breathe however you breathe. While breathing, again, scanning through the body, noticing any stress or tension that you're holding in your body. Scanning from head, neck, down through the shoulders and arms and hands, chest and belly and back, down into the hips, buttocks, legs, feet and toes. Checking for tension, stress, noticing the sensations that are present in your body, and breathing a sense of relaxation into your body. Day 108. How poor they are that have not patience. What wound did ever heal, but by degrees? William Shakespeare. The growth we encounter in yoga is dramatic. Physically, mentally, and spiritually, we are born anew. I have athletic students for whom the initial effect is mostly spiritual. A whole new world opens before them. For the backbenders like myself, the initial breakthrough is on a physical plane. One morning we get out of bed without pain. Others find freedom from compulsive worry or obsessive planning to be the first fruits of yoga. But for all of us, there is a honeymoon during those first months, as we imagine all our problems evaporating as quickly as the nagging ache in our lower backs. In some ways, this honeymoon is very helpful because it provides much needed momentum in the difficult process of change. Inevitably, though, the honeymoon eventually gives way to some issue that simply will not budge. Even in the bloom of our new passion, we realize there are still grave problems at work or at home. Liberated from our obsessive thinking, we discover the grief, the depression, grief, or pain that was hidden underneath. As our spines become increasingly flexible, we begin to understand the extent of the physical consequences of decades of compensating for a bad back. Then we embark on a period of reconstruction, and this is where the real work begins. In A Course in Miracles, the adage, "Many are called, but few are chosen," is used to suggest although life offers us countless opportunities for growth, all too few of us bother to pick up the signals. We don't choose to hear the message. In yoga, the first real setback has the potential to be the last, unless we are willing to persevere with patience. Permeating Hatha Yoga, the preeminent, Hatha Yoga teacher BKS Iyengar calls faith a yoga vitamin. And patience is truly an unsung aspect of our faith. Our practice takes us to the unknown. We deliberately head out into new terrain, off the charts of our familiar world. Such exploration calls for radical faith. But our faith need not be without some underpinning. Shakespeare reminds us that we heal by degrees. We will have bad days and good days. In practice, as in life, sometimes the progress of yesterday seems to have evaporated today, and yet there is always movement. As long as we show up and do the work, healing will happen. This is the message, but we must be willing to hear it. We must be prepared to bear witness patiently to the degrees by which we move forward. As we learn to celebrate these moments in our practice, we refine our appreciation for subtlety and learn to appreciate growth in those around us as well. And as we practice patience on our mat, our ability to stay with difficult postures on and off the mat grows. Begin to return your attention to your body and to your breath. Begin your movements with small muscles first, the fingers and the toes moving. As you're ready for more movement, moving the arms and the legs, bending the knees, rolling to your side. Pause in the fetal position for a breath or two. And then using the palms of your hands, push yourself up to a seated position. Hands touching the floor. And then inhale, the arms reach up for the sky, palms coming together. Exhale, the hands down to your heart. Head bows, eyes closed. Take one nice deep breath in and exhale. Eyes open, head lifts. Namaste. Have a great day.